Senator Corker has been pretty clear he doesn't want any deficit spending, said Senator John Cornyn of Texas, the No. 2 Senate Republican. The last-minute attempt to find revenue slowed, at least temporarily, what had appeared to be a cascade of momentum for the bill. Republicans picked up a key swing vote, Senator John McCain of Arizona, earlier in the day, and had appeared to be on track to pass the bill along party lines. Now, they are under pressure to cut the cost of their bill by as much as one-third, a situation that could require Republicans to insert future tax increases into what was posited as a giant tax cut that could complicate the final approval of the tax rewrite, particularly with House Republicans, who will be loath to approve a bill that would effectively raise taxes on companies and individuals after a period of lower taxes. Several senators remain on the fence over the bill, and Republicans can lose no more than 2 of their members to pass the legislation without any Democratic support. Mr. Corker, along with the Republican Senators Jeff Flake of Arizona and James Lankford of Oklahoma, have expressed concern about piling up more debt as a result of the $1.5 trillion tax overhaul. Other Republican senators, like Ron Johnson of Wisconsin, have objected to how the bill treats businesses whose profits are distributed to their owners and taxed at rates for individuals. During a procedural vote on Thursday that suddenly turned dramatic, Republican leaders huddled with Mr. Corker, who had wanted to add a trigger-like mechanism to the bill that would force future tax increases if federal revenues fell short of projections. The Senate parliamentarian deemed that trigger out of bounds under the budget rules that Republicans must abide by in order to shield their bill from a Democratic filibuster. Mr. Corker, Mr. Flake and Mr. Johnson withheld their votes on a Democratic motion that would have relegated the bill back to a Senate panel, before finally relenting and joining their Republican colleagues in defeating the motion. The floor debate on the bill continued, and Republicans were discussing alternative provisions such as slowly raising the corporate rate above 20%. "I'm sorry we hit this bump in the road late, because we were moving so well," said Senator Johnny Isakson, Republican of Georgia. Asked if the problem could be fixed, he replied, "Anything can be fixed." Quote, on Thursday afternoon, Republicans dismissed the Joint Committee projections that the bill would lead to additional economic growth of 0.8% over a decade, well short of the acceleration needed for the tax cuts to pay for themselves over that time. The analysis said the tax cuts would generate about $458 billion in revenue over a decade, but would also require about $51 billion in additional interest costs. That would leave the bill with a $1 trillion price tag. The Joint Committee figures pointed out that there is significant economic growth. Quote, Mr. Cornyn said, "We think they lowballed it." Quote, even before the parliamentary snag, critical components of the bill remained under debate, including the size of the corporate tax cut and whether it will retain any ability for individuals